38 pounds in the black corner. From St. Louis,
Here comes Mr. Pro.
Andre the Giant.
Gonna get his legs in on the bruiser. Hulk Hogan.
Number 1, the greatest WWE champion of all time, and in many ways, the man who made the title what it is today, Bruno Sammartino.
His opponent weighing 236 pounds in the white corner. From Van Nuys, California.
Welcome in to another edition of Retro Wrestling Rewind. As always, I am one half of the greatest podcast tag team champions of the world. I am David Fine, alongside the true Long Island IC, Alex G. We are talking Spring Stampede 2000, and when you asked me last week, why in the hell are we watching the show?
Yeah, dude, what the fuck?
And now I know why. I hadn't watched it in a minute, and I should have kept on not watching it because it was a terrible show.
Anyone who's listening to the sound of my voice, do yourselves a favor. Whatever you do in life, never, ever say Candyman 3 times into a mirror, and don't ever, ever watch WCW 2000 and 2001.
Yeah, it was
fucking awful, dude.
It was terrible, but
you know, someone asked me the other day. My good friend Matt Riley asked me the other day, and he's looking at the current landscape of the WWE, and he's like, "What's the bottom of the barrel?" And there's two scenarios when it comes to WWE that's being the bottom of the barrel for them. When you know it's all over, it's finished, it's done. One of them would be putting the belt on Shane McMahon, which is a allegory to putting the belt on David Arquette. And part two of that is doing some sort of reboot. Don't ever do a reboot. More importantly, don't go on your TV and say, "Hey guys, we're rebooting the show."
Yeah, man.
Oh my God, fucking WCW 2000, Vince Russo. And I don't hate Vince Russo. I don't. I'm a traditionalist by my very nature. I do like a little bit of shenanigans and tomfoolery. See RoboCop, see Dungeon of Doom. But the thing that drives me nuts is they're doing all this insider fucking sheet bullshit on the show. Oh, it's so fucking awful. And listen, it's 2019. If you have a wrestling company, if you're an AEW, do not do that insider bullshit. Don't be fucking too smart, because the fans who are watching your show, it's going to go right over their fucking head. Hell, on the Nitro before this, Bischoff makes a reference to Sid and scissors. Everyone knows the story about fucking Sid stabbing Arn Anderson with scissors, right? Everyone who read the sheets know that. If you're a super hardcore wrestling fan, you know that fucking shit Vicious did that to Arn Anderson, right? The crowd didn't even fucking react. It went right over their fucking head because they didn't give a shit, because the majority of the people who were watching Monday Night Nitro at the time weren't reading the sheets like that.
Yeah.
The people in the arenas for sure were not reading the sheets like that. It went right over their fucking head. No pop, no reaction to that.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, the Nitro before Spring Stampede 2000. You said they had 24 minutes total of wrestling.
Approximately 24 minutes and change of wrestling on a 3-hour wrestling show. Again, you can tell that Vince Russo is booking, because it's not about the wrestling matches, and they all go really, really short. So you have matches that consist of 3 minutes 42 seconds, 3:03, 4:28. 6:17 and 4:23. Those are your matches for the show. Those are your match times. Holy fuck!
And the rest of the time, it was just hijinks, shenanigans, and tomfoolery. And
yeah, I mean, they're trying to get over. Okay, there's a couple things going on here. It's the return of Bischoff and Russo. So the regime prior to this was your Kevin Sullivan, J.J. Dillon regime, which, when that regime got back into power, that's when they put the belt on Benoit, and then the Radicals leave, which caused a lot of problems for WCW. So out go Sullivan and JJ, in come in Russo and Bischoff, now working together as a team, which didn't go well. So they finally, this is the first time Vince Russo has been on WCW television. Now, he was on WWF TV. If you ever watched Livewire, because I'm an insane wrestling fan and I watched Livewire in the 90s because I'm an idiot. But Vince Russo was on that show. Prior to this, he'd never been on. He was. You would hear his voice. He was the Howard Power or fucking creative control or whatever they fucking called him. Prior to this, but they never saw him on screen. This is the first time that they put him on screen, and this thing is just a fucking shenanigans. They talk about the WWF more than fucking AEW does. Holy shit!
Which is
fucking ridiculous.
Which must be a lot because AEW seems to.
Yeah, they need to stop doing that. They need to stop references that. In addition to that, Mark Madden has replaced Bobby Heenan on commentary. And Mark Madden's a hell of a fucking newspaper man. He's a hell of a writer. Fucking a shitty wrestling commentator. For fuck's sake. Got Bill Watts fired. That's for sure.
I mean, was there anything that came positive out of the last Nitro before Spring Stampede?
Maybe the Kidman Hogan stuff. So it's when basically Kidman calls out Hogan because Hogan did an interview on the internet talking shit about Kidman, and Bischoff did I guess a pseudo swerve, but there's supposed to be no heels or baby faces or whatever. And Bischoff hits Hogan with the chair, and Hogan busts his head open. That's the only thing that's kind of cool, and we get the reveal that it was Eric Bischoff all along in the white Hummer. Now, those of you who watch Monday Nitro every week know about the white Hummer deal. So that mystery was finally resolved. Other than that, again, they're pushing this. This is kind of the starts of the New Blood versus Millionaires Club, and they were really trying to position the New Blood as your new your babyface group. But the WCW fans were like, no, we're going to cheer the Millionaires Club that consists of Hogan, DDP, and Sting and Kevin Nash and all your millionaire wrestlers, and they had an opportunity. They had a unique opportunity here to kind of really push the young guys here. They chose not to do that because if you look at their world title tournaments, the only kind of fresh face in this is maybe DDP.
Yeah, I mean it's
that's your tournament consists of your world title tournament. This is 2000, mind you. It's Lex Luger, DDP, Sid Vicious, Sting, Kurt Hennig, Jeff Jarrett. That is your tournaments for your world title.
Boy, that's really yeah.
Oh, in addition to that, don't forget that Mike Awesome debuts on that Nitro. Still essentially the ECW world champion. That's a whole fucking thing. That's ridiculous. Basically, Mike Awesome's contract for ECW was not legally binding, so WCW scooped him up. But to kind of get away from any kind of legal entanglements, they had Mike Awesome lose the belt to WWE contracted wrestler Taz at the ECW show. And I forget I think in Indianapolis or Indiana, I forget it's in that area. Which is weird, and then Taz went on WWF TV with the ECW title and promptly got squashed by Triple H.
Yeah.
So that was cool. So Mike Awesome, which I thought at the time was going to be, they're going to push him to the top spot. He's going to be like your world champion for the 2000s, and unfortunately, that didn't go well for good old Mike Awesome. He ended up being that 70s guy for a while. So
yeah, it was yeah. Now that I look back at my poor decisions in life, and I made a lot of poor decisions in my life.
Drunk.
I wish it was. I think it was a terrible. You know what? I'm calling an audible. Calling an audible. They do that in wrestling. They call it in the match. We had already picked what we were covering next week, but I'm gonna pull a rabbit out of my hat. I'm gonna let you pick what we're gonna be covering next week. I want you to redeem this shitty show we're covering this week, and we will reveal it at the end of the program. How's that sound?
Okay.
We can do that. Yeah, I mean, it's just, when I look back at my decision, it was a terrible decision. I mean, anything else come out of this shitty 24 minutes of wrestling at Nitro?
That's about it. I know Tammy Cinch, I think, comes in on that Thunder. Remember, folks, Thunder is a thing now, which if you thought Nitros were bad, Thunders are worse. It's like, where have I seen this before? A 3-hour show on Monday And then on Thursday or Tuesday, another 2-hour show that's not much better, or in some cases worse. Where have I seen this before?
Okay.
I don't know. It's weird. I'm having deja vu all over
Yeah,
again.
I know. And oh god, and to kind of right the ship, which is taking on a lot of water right now, and
You want to talk about Mancow?
God,
You're a big fan of
Mancow
Mancow?
Mueller? Yeah, I mean, not really, but I mean, I'm a big Vampiro fan, and that dude back then, he was really young. It was like what?
Yeah, they were doing a whole. Russo liked to copy gimmicks from the WWF at the time, so probably still does. Sure as hell did in TNA. And they were really kind of pushing Vampiro as their version of the Undertaker, which is very weird.
Yeah,
But if you wanted to inject new blood, get the pun there, into your top, your main event scene, your world title scene, Vampiro could have been a guy. Vampiro could have been a guy. Shane Douglas could have been a guy. Mike Austin could have been a guy. Scott Steiner could have won his first world title here. But no. Main event of Jeff Jarrett and DDP.
I love DDP, and Jeff Jarrett's not that bad, but just I don't know. It was a
Not like, but look what they're trying to do, right? They're trying desperately to do anything to compete with the WWE, who, by the way, if you go watch WWF 2000, it's not the greatest either. Mind you, not for nothing, Steve Austin's out with a neck injury at this time. So there's no Steve Austin in WWF 2000.
yeah. I mean, it's
So this would have been their opportunity to kind of, okay, let's fucking gain some ground here. Steve Austin's on the fucking shelf.
yeah.
And let's fucking go for it here. No, via DDP and Jeff Jarrett.
Yes, yeah. It was
This is how you lose $60 million in a year.
you book crap like
Doing shit
this.
like this. Now, this is what I consider the creative end of WCW. There's nothing. If you go past this, there's nothing other than the Lance Storm push, which Lance Storm wins all the belts, and then he goes to challenge Nash for the world title, and then Nash just beats him. Like Lance Storm probably should have won. She should have won there. Then you have a new star in fucking Lance Storm, who maybe not the best on promos, but that motherfucker can go in the ring, and you need that at this point. Because if you are completely out of creative ideas, you got nothing left. There's nothing. There's no more rabbits to pull out the hat. There's no more fucking cards up your sleeve. If you're a company booker, writer, at this point, you just put the best wrestlers in the ring and let them go.
Yeah, but they didn't do that. So
no, although I do find Terry Funk and Norman Smiley as a guilty pleasure.
yeah, I mean their match is just hilarious. I mean, I'm talking about.
Let's start with this thing. So it starts off with Ric Flair and the total package, not Lex Luger.
Just a total package.
Just a total package.
Taking on the Harris brothers. I mean,
Sorry,
and the Mamalukes. Johnny.
Don't forget the Mamalukes. I like that Johnny the Bull. That Big Vito. Not a big fan. Scope on Crush. Not a big fan of Big Vito.
I'm a big fan of.
But Johnny Bill's
I'm a big
awesome.
fan of the Disco Inferno. So.
Are you?
I am.
He's the world's worst booker.
Why do you say that?
You ever hear some of his ideas? Like, they always have to revolve around some sort of alien invasion, like pod people. Or I think he had the evil architect Bill Ding was one of his ideas, I believe. He's always had some, don't let him. Plus he's obnoxious. He's one of the few people I've met and like wrestling conventions that's just obnoxious.
I mean, speaking of, kind of who you met, I heard you get on a different subject for right now. You met one of my favorite wrestlers at a shop this past week at a new.
Yeah, I met the Native American Tatanka. Super nice guy. He asked me who my favorite current wrestler was, and I told him AJ Styles, and he was like, "I'm very happy for AJ. He's finally got to get this opportunity on the big stage. 'Cause he was just there last Monday night for the Raw reunion, And he actually re-signed his Legends deal, so they'll be coming up with more action figures of the Native American Tatanka.
Well, that's good. I'm glad I'm glad the legend himself, the Native American Tatanka, was a good dude. So that's good.
5 minutes away from my house because Hassel's Toys just opened up about 5 minutes away from my house, and they have all your needs in terms of wrestling action figures and so forth. So I'll probably be frequenting them.
Oh, so you're gonna pick up some more of the wrestling figure collection?
I don't collect wrestling action figures.
You should maybe.
I collect Star Wars action figures and now Marvel Legends and the occasional G.I. Joe.
Oh man,
I collect wrestling video games.
No. But this match was for the imagine that is for the vacated tag team.
No, it's a tournament semifinal.
It should have been the final because it was just crappy. But I mean, what do you think of this match?
Luger and I'm a Lex Luger apologist, right? We all know this. Luger should not be anywhere near a wrestling ring at this point in his career. Like, he is finished.
He shouldn't be near Miss Elizabeth, but that's.
Oh, that's for goddamn sure. Like, I like the Harris brothers as a team here. The Mama Lukes are coming into their own. Disco's, but again, you're trying to push your new blood, pushing the new blood here. You give the win to Ric Flair in the total package.
Yeah, I mean,
somewhere around this time they bury Ric Flair in the desert again, but I don't know if that happens this week or next week. But he gets buried in the desert again, I think for the third time.
It's just it's an awesome way to open up the pay-per-view. But I mean, are you surprised that all the titles are stripped? So all the titles are gonna be up on the line. I mean, it's
a lot of fucking tournaments, man. Vince would have hated this show. You know how Vince feels about tournaments.
Yeah, no. Speaking of something that is terrible even more, Mancow taking on Jimmy Hart.
Now, of the Howard Stern ripoffs, I would say Mancow is probably my least favorite.
Yeah.
I was a big Stern guy, from New York. I wanted to be on radio. I went to college for radio. I wanted to be the next Stern and to say obnoxiously horrific and crazy shit was kind of my deal at the time. But I didn't like Mancow at all with his, Al Roker Jr. turned the bartender and the freak. And why is he? Why is this on the show? Why is this on the show? Like, why is this not a pre-show match?
Well, because they didn't have pre-shows matches back then, did they?
Yeah, they had darks. This should have been a dark match. Oh, is main event still a thing? On Sunday, main event? This could have been the main event.
Probably. I mean, I would assume that I would assume that someone was friends with Mancow and were like, hey, let's put you on there.
Well, yeah. I mean, Mancow, Bob the Love Sponge. I mean, I'm sure he had a relationship within wrestling, but fucking Mancow.
But, that's all I can really say about him. Next match had the man who owns a Shoney's that sells alcohol north of Atlanta, Scott Steiner, taking on The Wall.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Since there's no Shoney's in New York, what does one order at a Shoney's?
I have never been to a Shoney's before, so.
Do you think the Shoney's and Rick and Morty is owned by Scott Steiner?
Yes. Yes.
I
God. I mean, this card is just tournament matches after tournament
The
matches.
Wall, who was with Alex Wright, and he was Berlin. Get it? Berlin and the little Wall.
God.
Oh, that's some NXT level fucking shenanigans there.
Actually, no, because NXT is actually good.
Well, I'm just saying, there was a point in time where anyone that had a stupid name, I would say, like, hey, they're part of the NXT name generator because everyone got weird names in NXT.
Yeah.
So let's Wall.
Oh man, I mean, there's.
He could have been somebody. He was almost 7 feet.
He could have been somebody, but he wasn't. So
could have been, Then he was started at AWOL, and then eventually he was Malice and TNA. I mean, he was trained at the power plant. I guess that's good.
I guess. I mean,
he had a heck of a choke slam, not for nothing.
And of course, he's another one of the wrestlers who's dead. So I mean, just.
Well, you killed him, so.
I mean, what can I say? But Smooth it.
What's a myocardial? It's a heart attack.
Yes. Yes, a myocardial infarction or something like that. Yeah. The next match, Ernest Miller taking on your favorite wrestler of the time, Mr. Mike Awesome.
Now, for years, I thought that Ernest Miller and Rico Constantino battled against each other at the finals of the American Gladiators, but I don't think they were the same year.
No, they were.
Ernest Miller won the American Gladiators, or at least he was in the finals at least. Rico won American Gladiators for sure.
Yeah.
And I heard a rumor that he was also the Green Ranger on Power Rangers, but that's probably a lie.
It is probably an urban legend, but God, what can you say about this match? It was a tournament quarterfinal for the United States title.
Well, I'm glad that Mike Awesome gets the win here. So we're going to do something with him here. He already beat up Kevin Nash, so I don't think Ernest Miller is the best guy to put in the ring with Mike Awesome to kind of showcase his abilities. Ernest Miller, not necessarily a traditional professional wrestler by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
I don't know why he's even in there.
Is the shitty booking.
Who booked this show? Oh, yeah.
God. Next match, we had Shane Douglas, Buff Bagwell, taking on Harlem Heat 2000, Stevie Ray and Big T, with Jay Biggs and Cash.
You a big fan of Cash?
Cash Money in my pocket, yeah, but I'm not a big fan of this incarnation of Harlem Heat.
You don't like Big T?
No, I did not.
Big T and Booker T had a wrestling match over the letter T. I don't know if you knew that.
Are you bullshitting me?
No, I swear to fucking God. I swear that they put the letter T on a pole. I swear this happened. It wasn't a nightmare. It wasn't a drug-induced fucking haze. I'm 99% sure that they had a match over the letter T, and it was a T on a pole.
Oh, my God. This is typical 2000s WCW. And can you remind me, we should probably never cover WCW 2000 again?
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Jay Biggs, though, Clarence Mason. He's a real lawyer, by the way.
Oh, he is. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So he was the lawyer for Jim Cornette and Yokozuna on WWF. But look, this is where they're heading towards. They're heading towards a Shane Douglas, Ric Flair, who are feuding, and Buff Bagwell and the Total Package are feuding as well. So obviously, they're going to face each other in the finals of the WCW World Tag Team Title Tournaments. So that's where they're going here, ladies and gentlemen. Shane Douglas, by the way, who quit, fucking got his release from WCW, and that's a whole fucking thing where the Radicals jumped to WWF without Shane Douglas and didn't tell him. So they left Shane Douglas out of the fucking loop without a fucking job. So Shane had to go back to WCW. Because I'm pretty sure the WWF did not want Shane Douglas back.
No.
We'll take Benoit, Guerrero, Malenko, and Saturn. We sure as fuck don't want Shane Douglas.
Well, it was nice of them not to take.
Although 2000 Shane Douglas, 2000 Triple H fucking copied fucking 1998 Shane Douglas. Because even down to their fucking weird Kango hats and fucking leather shits that they were wearing. Like, if you look at a picture of Shane Douglas in, 1998, ECW, and look at a picture of Triple H, they're the same person.
Yeah, man.
The game, the franchise.
Coincidence?
Really?
Oh, God.
Really, Paul? Come on now.
I'm a big Shane Douglas fan. Buff Bagwell, I can live with him. But, the next match had Sting taking on the other guy with a T at this last name, Booker T. For the
this is the best match on the card, by the way. Sting's actually working a little bit here with Booker.
What do you think about Sting, taking on Booker? Do you think they have good matches together?
They've always, at this point, Booker T is carrying the company in terms of fucking work rate once the Radicals leave. So the Radicals were all your work rate guys, your Radicals and your Jericho.
Yeah.
So now they don't have a lot of work rate guys, and Booker T is your work rate guy right now. So Booker, you really have to start considering him for a world title push at this point. And they do. Yeah, he just gets it down the road, but you start looking at Booker T, it's he's gonna have to carry us. Because Sting should be nowhere near a wrestling ring in the year 2000.
Him and Lex Luger should have a match. That'd be great. two guys.
Oh my God, it'd be fucking awful. They should be just managing their gym somewhere, or let Sting be a fucking authority figure or something. But he should not be wrestling.
No, he should not. I mean, moving on to the next match, we had Vampiro, a young Vampiro. He'd only been in the business, I'm sure how many years, but I know it was not a lot. Taking on Billy Kidman with fucking Tori Wilson. Holy crap. Whew, man. What are we?
Tori Wilson, all the way live.
Yes. Have you seen her recently?
Still all the way live.
Yes. I mean, what were your thoughts on this? I mean, I never really, was not really a.
Why is Billy Kidman trying to be X-Pac? I don't understand.
I don't know.
Go back and watch these shows. He's clearly fucking doing X-Pac.
Probably ecstasy.
Even down to the weird fucking camcorder thing that X-Pac was doing. Like, he's 100% copying fucking X-Pac.
Yeah. I mean, it was.
Hell of a shooting star press, though.
Yeah, I mean, he was a great worker. I mean, and.
Who are the heels on the? I don't know who the baby faces and the heels. I watched the show twice.
I don't know. I mean, in this match, I'd probably go Vampiro as a heel, but
yeah, because Kidman just brutally attacked Hulk Hogan, but Hulk Hogan's supposed to be a heel, and then then Bischoff tried to murder him with the Hummer and crashed the Hummer right into a limbo. So Vampiro's a babyface, but he turns on Sting though.
Yeah,
like everyone else turns on Sting.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Next match, you said your favorite match of the evening: Norman Smiley taking on Terry Funk for the.
Screaming Norman
Hey, it's
Smiley.
the only match on the card that's, besides the finals, that is not a tournament semifinal, quarterfinal. It's for the vacated hardcore title. I mean, they hijinks and shenanigans and tomfoolery, I mean, abound in this match. I mean,
I'm confused about why the fact that the WCW didn't come up with a European championship at this point as well. For fuck's sake. Hardcore championship.
It's kind of like the.
I like Ralphus though.
Yeah, I mean, were you a big fan of Norman Smiley?
Yes, I liked him as Black Magic in Mexico. Yeah, we saw him on Starrcade fucking what was it 90? Came in with Conan.
Yeah, I mean he was good. I mean, and Terry Funk. I mean, he's a fucking living legend. I mean,
fucking Terry Funk. 2000 Terry Funk still fucking better working on stage,
which is kind of funny. But moving on from this match, we had Scott Steiner taking on Mike Awesome. He won by submission. It was another semifinal match for the vacated.
Yeah, let's take your next top guy and Mike Awesome, have him lose to Scott Steiner via submission. Fucking awesome.
Yeah, man.
Great job.
Yeah. This next match, Sting taking on Vampiro. I mean, did you?
Does anyone care?
No.
Does anyone care about Sting versus Vampiro? No. It was cool that one time where they stole right from the Brood. You know, the Brood was fucking giving bloodbaths to people, and then Vampiro did the exact same thing to Sting.
Yeah, man.
At a certain point, ladies and gentlemen, WCW stopped being a wrestling company, a wrestling show, and at a certain point, they became a parody of a wrestling show. They're taking literally shit right off of WWF TV and like, we're going to do the fucking bootleg version of it on our TV. Fuck it. Dumbasses.
Oh, man. Well, moving on this shit train of a show, we had Chris Candido taking on the Artist, Juventud Guerrero, Shannon Moore, Lash LaRue, and Crowbar for the vacated WCW Cruiserweight Championship. I mean, what were your thoughts on them putting on the belt on Chris Candido?
Well, Tammy's clearly on drugs here. You can tell by the look on her face and the fact that she looks a little bloated as well. Clearly on some sort of drugs. I don't know what drugs they would be.
The bloated drugs?
Could be crack. It could be pills. I don't know. We have the Artist here, Prince Ikea, with Paisley, who Booker T's wife. That's cool. Juventud, which I believe is in the middle of his juice gimmick. When he's the juice.
Yeah.
Remember that? He's the juice. And Shannon Moore, which I would have preferred Shane Helms in this match. To be really honest, if you're going to have your 3 count in there, I would have liked that, Shane Helms. Shane Helms, by the way, won the bright spots of 2001 WCW, last Cruiserweight champion.
Which folks, we will not be covering, thank God. Lash LaRue, you're a big fan of Lash, weren't you?
No. I'm not. I like Crowbar, though.
Why do you like Crowbar?
Crowbar is Devin Storm, for those of you who don't know. And Devin Storm was having all kinds of really good match in Northeast Indies, like with Chris Daniels and all them, and like he was gonna be like one of the next, the next guys, right? Devin Storm, right? You kept on hearing him in PWIs, Devin Storm, and then goes to WCW and he's Crowbar. Although the gimmick worked pretty well, and Daphne was super hot.
Yes, he was.
So
Yeah, speaking of things that are super hot on the internet, how can people, I mean, I know people want to hear your voice, your sweet, sultry voice even more. How can they find you on Twitter and your YouTube channel?
Well, if you don't follow me on Twitter, go to RW Games Presents. You follow me there. I think we have like 5,000 followers right now, which is pretty good. In addition to that, you go over to YouTube and type in Retro Wrestling Games Presents in the search bar, and we have 315 videos currently. So definitely check.
Any new series? I mean, any new things that you're going to be starting to do? I mean,
well, we have a couple of things in the works, and then we just debuted the Alternative Wrestling Review. We just took a look at the latest MLW show, King of Coliseum, with my good friend Luke Martin. We did that. In addition, we still are playing through Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 for the Xbox 360 and Fist of the North Star for the PS4. So,
yeah, I mean, definitely, folks, click on the link in the show notes.
Don't be a dick. Click on the link.
Yes, clickbait. He will not try to sell you anything. He will not try to upsell you.
No.
He just wants you to watch his shit. And speaking of that, we're continuing to watch some shit. Shane Douglas, Buff Bagwell taking on Ric Flair and the Total Package for the it's the finals for the WCW World Tag Team Championship. Yeah. Thoughts?
Does anyone know what the heat between Vince Russo and Ric Flair was?
Do you know?
No. I don't know what the heat was. Because Vince is, if you go back and watch the Nitros, like he's shooting on Flair, like calling him, all types of shit. And that spot, it's weird how they did it because they transitioned from Flair to Steiner to Shane Douglas for some odd reason. And you wouldn't know the heat between Shane Douglas and Ric Flair unless you watched a lot of ECW, which a lot of people didn't. If more people watched it, wouldn't have been out of business. Yeah. Or if you read the sheet. So no one kind of understood like what's Shane Douglas' problem with Ric Flair, what's Vince Russo's problem with Ric Flair. We knew what Scott Steiner's problem was because he's been calling him out on TV for like fucking 6 weeks. So it doesn't make necessarily all that sense. Again, this is a reboot show, so nothing's going to make any sense. And they're desperately trying to do this Millionaires Club versus New Blood gimmick. It's not successful. It's not working. Clearly,
it's not successful. And the thing that's even more not successful, that doesn't make a word, Scott Steiner taking on Sting in the title finals for the United States Heavyweight Championship. And this match kind of ended with...
How did fucking Sting get in 2 title tournaments? What the fuck's that about? Who the fuck's he belong?
Vince Russo?
No.
I don't know. But the end, I mean, this weird Vampiro appears and grabs him and takes him under the ring.
Yeah, where have we seen that before? I'm pretty sure they did that with Undertaker and Kevin Nash.
And they did that also with the Undertaker, or with Kane and the Undertaker back more recently. So that's it's one of those things. It's like if you can't come up with new shit, then just go out of business.
Like they're really trying. They're just copying WWF at this point, and it's very, very apparent, and it's very lame.
Yeah. And like they say, the pain train is about to come to an end. We had the tournament finals for the world title, the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. Jeff Jarrett taking on Diamond Dallas Page with Kimberly.
Yay!
I mean, I think the only good thing about this whole entire match is when Kimberly turned.
Really? Yeah.
That was. I mean, she's all the way live, but I'm just.
You're telling me.
Jesus.
You ever seen the 40-Year-Old Virgin?
Yes.
Do you see the part where her titty pops out?
Probably, if that's the thing.
What?
No.
I have that as the background on my phone.
I bet you do. I bet.
I do.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to see Kimberly's titty?
I can't think of anybody.
That's what I'm saying. Everyone wants to see Ortiz. Even if it's one.
I mean, what were your thoughts? What were your thoughts?
You ever seen that? You ever seen that fucking issue of Playboy with her in it? It's all the way live.
I'm sure you haven't.
I mean, I don't have it. I mean, I have scanned it on the computer in a file that's locked with a password. I have kids and shit.
Oh, wow. What were your thoughts on Jeff Jarrett being the champion?
I mean, it hurts. I think it hurts promotion because Jeff Jarrett's never been seen as a main eventer. It wasn't like he main evented WWF, like say like Nash or like Hogan. So kind of being put in this spot and the way they brought him in as the chosen one is like, I thought that was lame. I think Jeff Jarrett is good on his own. When Jeff Jarrett's like not being booked by Vince Russo, he's 1,000 times better.
Yeah.
But when Jeff Jarrett's being booked, and him and Russo were tight for a while, and Jarrett was fucking Russo's guy for a minute. And I don't think as a duo they bring much to the table. Actually, I think Russo detracts from Jeff. Because I think Jeff on his own, has the pedigree and he has the understanding of professional wrestling. But I think when he gets to Vince Russo, he gets corrupted. And, you can look at some of those TNA shows and see exactly the same thing. What we see
Yeah,
here.
I mean, it kind of put a bow around this big pile of crap. I mean, what?
We're not talking about David Arquette winning the belt on fucking Thunder like fucking a week from now.
I mean, if you want to talk about that,
It fucking sucked. That's all I have to say about
he's
that.
still wrestling David Arquette.
I know. I don't. It's not his fault. It's not like David Arquette destroyed the wrestling business. I'm like, yeah, he kind of won the belt on a fluke, but you want 5 ways to kill your wrestling company? That's one of them. That's why the WWE should never ever put their belt on Shane McMahon. Although Shane McMahon is probably a better wrestler than David Arquette. Shane McMahon can be a main eventer. If his last name wasn't McMahon.
Yeah.
I say it was fucking Shane Armstrong, right? He would probably be a main eventer on a mid-level, indie level promotion.
Yeah.
Because his work's not the greatest. He's not polished by any stretch of the imagination. He can do moves, but he's not necessarily a good worker by any stretch of imagination. The fact that he's keep on putting him over. I mean, Vern didn't even do that with Greg, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah. So,
Here's the right to put this in perspective. WCW 2000 is so bad that there's no one in the history of professional wrestling that could have fixed it.
no, it's not.
They could have brought back Eddie Graham from the fucking grave, and he couldn't fucking fix this shit.
But
Vince McMahon and fucking Pat Patterson go down to Atlanta and try to fix this shit. They can't do it. It's fucking done.
And speaking of things that can be fixed, I mean, at the beginning of the program, I said, I'm going to call an audible. I'm going to get our new booker, our new head guy, Alex G, to pick the show we're going to be covering next week to kind of recover from this shenanigans and tomfoolery. Why
you do this?
What show do you want to pull the rabbit out of your hat to save us from 2000's WCW?
I think we're going to do WrestleMania 5.
WrestleMania 5. What was the main event for everyone that has not watched it of WrestleMania 5?
Randy Savage, WWF champion, taking on Hulk Hogan.
Folks, that's a whole 100,000 times better than Spring Stampede 2000. I mean, what can I say? I mean, sometimes they're good ones.
Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage is the greatest feud in the history of WWE, better than McMahon and Austin.
And we'll talk about that. But, I mean, overall, between 1 and 10, what would you give Spring Stampede 2000?
-5 stars. Historically, right, you look at some of these pay-per-views and in a vacuum, they're okay. If you watch them in a vacuum, if you don't watch the TVs around them, they're okay. They're just matches on a card. And it's whatever, it's just matches. But it's there's nothing that goes over 15 minutes other than the main event. And the rest of this card is shit. There's star power on this show. But, even bad wrestling from time to time, we'll find its charm. And this is not charming. This is not good. It's the drizzling shits. I hate you for making me watch the show again.
Well, and thank you very much. But
Son of a bitch.
hey, folks, we'll kind of wrap this shit up. And
Up next, WCW Greed 2001.
no, folks, we will not be covering that ever.
At some point, we're gonna have to cover it. We're gonna run out of shows.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we'll ever run out of shows, but we'll see. But next week we're going to be covering WrestleMania 5, folks. So for the great Alex G, as always, I'm David Fine. I apologize for covering Spring Stampede 2000. Hopefully we made the show a little bit better. But click on the links, click on everything on the show notes, and we'll talk to you, and we'll see you and talk to you in the past.
238 pounds in the black corner. From St. Louis,
Here comes Mr. Crow. Mr.
Andre the
Crow
Giant.
Gonna get his licks in on the bruiser. Hulk Hogan.
Number 1, the greatest WWE champion of all time, and in many ways, the man who made the title what it is today, Bruno Sammartino.
His opponent weighing 236 pounds in the white corner. From Van Nuys, California.
Quand même à aimer Rejoice.